Welcome back! My name is ballerscuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1982. Today, we're going to talk about Q-Bert. The story of Q-Bert takes us to Gottlieb. Gottlieb is an American arcade manufacturer. It was founded in 1927 as D. Gottlieb & Company, primarily as a pinball manufacturer. Gottlieb actually created the first successful coin-operated pinball machine, 1931's Baffle Ball. Gottlieb continued to be successful in the electromechanical arcade market for decades, primarily focused on pinball machines. In 1976, Gottlieb was purchased by Columbia Pictures. In 1980, Gottlieb started creating video games, starting with licensed titles from other companies. It was in 1982 that Gottlieb started creating their own video games, starting with Reactor. Reactor is an action game in which the player tries to cool down a reactor core. Gottlieb would follow Reactor with Q-Bert. There are a couple conflicting stories on the origins of Q-Bert. One story says that programmer Warren Davis initially got the idea for the game from a pattern of hexagons designed by fellow Gottlieb developer Kon Yabumoto. The other reported origin was from artist Jeff Lee, who drew a pyramid made of cubes. Lee felt that this concept could be turned into a game, and created an orange, armless character to explore the pyramid. This character could jump between cubes, shooting enemies with mucus bombs from a tubular nose. Warren Davis reportedly got involved at this point, adding gravity, randomness, and balls that bounce down the pyramid. Davis was new to programming at the time, so decided to keep the game simple. He wanted the game to be playable with just one hand, so the shooting was removed and the objective changed to the character's survival. An executive then watched an early stage of the game and suggested that the cubes change color as the player jumped on them. Davis also implemented a control scheme that would match the landscape, using a joystick that would move at 45-degree angles. Jeff Lee also gave the character some personality, giving the character a speech balloon with nonsensical characters as a joke. David Thiel would compose the music and sounds of the game. During development, the working name of the game was Cubes, but it was agreed that the game should be named after the character. While there was talk of the nonsense speech becoming the character's name, ultimately the character's name became a combination of Cubes and Hubert, Q-Bert. Originally separated with a hyphen, the name would change to be separated with an asterisk. The game started being tested in September 1982 in local arcades and focus groups. Based on the initial results of those tests, Davis lowered the difficulty of the game. However, the players' early struggles proved to be with the controls, but the players would become accustomed to the controls after a few rounds. Davis regretted his decision to make the game easier. Q-Bert is an action game from an axonometric third-person perspective. The player controls Q-Bert, who must jump on all the cubes on the pyramid to change their color. There are several enemies in Q-Bert's way, including Coily, a purple snake, Ugg and Wrongway, two purple monsters, and Slick and Sam, two green creatures. If the player is able to change all the cubes to the correct color, then the player will beat the level and move on to the next level. Q-Bert was officially released in the United States on October 18, 1982, at least according to the US Copyright Office. Other reports state that the game was not sold to arcade retailers until the AMOA show, which was held between November 18th and November 20th, 1982, while the mass market release date was December 1982. For the Japanese release, Gottlieb turned to both Sega and Konami. Those companies released the game to Japanese arcades in March 1983. Gottlieb would publish the game in Europe themselves in March 1983 as well. That is the backstory to Q-Bert. With that now told, it's time to play the game for ourselves. And here we are in the game. This is Q-Bert. Jump on squares to change them to the target color. Stay on playfield. Jumping off results in a fatal plummet unless a disc is there. Avoid all objects and creatures that are not green. Use spinning discs to lure Snake to his death. Extra life at 8,000 each, additional 14,000. And we get a sample of the nonsense that Q-Bert does speak. As a kid, I always assumed he was cursing. Now, this is a game that takes a little getting used to, as I mentioned before. It takes a little bit to get used to kind of the controls of everything. As you can see, that might happen. You jump off to your doom, you jump off to the wrong direction. Basically, the controls, especially on a modern machine, you hit up, and he goes up and to the right in the version that I'm doing. The left actually takes you up and to the left, down takes you down and to the left, and right takes you down and to the right. It takes a little getting used to. I have played it a couple times to try to refamiliarize myself with it, but if I jump the wrong way every once in a while, know that it is accidental. We'll let him curse again. The 8,000 and 14,000, that is something that you can change on each arcade machine. But as you might have seen, the high scores start, I think, at either 2,000 or 3,000. Should be something that we can handle, considering you get a free life at 8,000. All right, so let's put a coin in, and let's see what I can do here. Yeah, 3,000 is the high score, but you get a free life at 8,000. So the high scores are particularly low in this game. I should be able to get the high score. All right. On to level 1, change everything to yellow. I didn't want to go into the corner. All right. If we get rid of the snake, it actually clears the board. So that is definitely what we wanted to do. That was a little nerve-wracking there. Okay, want the snake to chase me a little bit. There we go. And then we should be good to kind of clear this whole thing. And there we go. And we already have one of the highest scores on the machine. Ow. I should have waited for him to go before I went. No, that's the wrong way. Just thought about it just a hair too long. Just doubted myself. But we should be good again. Alright, 4750. Now we want to change it to the dark color. And we have some new enemies coming our way. These are Ugh and Wrong Way. They will come for us. Here we go. And away they go. They kind of, yeah, they go literally on the wrong side of the cubes. Hence the names Ugh and Wrong Way. There we go. And looks like I get another free life. That's always nice. Had to make sure they weren't chasing me there. Okay. That one was. I was trying to get over to the other side to clear the snake, but that was not the case. You can hit the green ones like they said, but I don't necessarily like doing that. Alright, we've made it to level 2 because we have cleared 4 levels. Alright, so on level 2, you have to hit everything twice. That's the idea. So you have to change it to the right color. There are going to be times... no. That's not where I want to do. You have usurped all others to become the Supreme Noser. Kindly enter your initials for all to see. Yeah, even this thing has to function a little bit weird. All right. Oh, is there a button I can hit? It's the start button. All right. I dropped another coin in case you were curious. All right, up here. And we are good. And, like, not even close to anybody else. Like I said, these are particularly easy high scores to go through. All right, so we're going to do at least one more, but you guys get the idea. The other thing that can happen in this game is when you get to the higher level, they will start having it so every time you hit a block, it actually changes color. So at this point, I'd be changing everything back the way that it was. And that makes things a lot more difficult. All right. Get rid of you, get rid of everything, and then head forward again. There we go. Just gonna wait here for you. Try to tackle the left side. Didn't trust you one bit. Okay. Take care of you again, and once again, like, we have a high score. The high scores are kind of a joke, honestly, in this game. They're so much easier than this. All right. Now we're on to the more difficult stuff. You can lure them off the screen, right? But it's not always the easiest. Now let's clear the screen. Jump on the disc. Get rid of everything. Alright, I'm gonna go this way. He's still, like, he'll chase you for a while. You don't have to wait for him, but I always like waiting for him. Makes me feel like I'm doing it a little bit better. There we go! Round 3 done. We're on to round 4. I saw you coming. We've already cleared a majority of this. Alright. Go away. Went a little bit lower than I wanted. You chasing me? Oh, how dare you! How dare you? Who's changing the colors? There were so many around me. That wasn't fair. Alright, on to level 2, where we have to change everything to green. Try to get the top section here. Alright, clear all that. No! How dare you! Yeah, he was coming for me. Alright, we're gonna do the one up top. And it just takes me right back to where I started. Like, I was already on that block. Okay. Yeah, I was trapped there. Okay. Sound went away. Yeah, the sound's been a little buggy on this one. But we will... Really? You should have been chasing me. Alright, well, that was the end of that one anyway. Alright, so... we'll put in that. And that. And... there we go. Yeah, not even close, like 14,000. I'm going to call that good. Basically, that is how the game works. It's a fun little game, but with the game now played and the sound now gone, it's time to talk about how the game holds up today. Playing the game today, I do have to say that the game is fun. It is a game that is relatively easy to pick up and play. The hard part of that, of course, is that initial learning curve, that initial trying to figure out how your controls actually move the character. If you move the joystick this way, which way does your character move? But once you get over that initial learning curve, the game becomes pretty easy. And I think it's a game that lends itself to dropping in a quarter and spending a long time on a single play. And I looked up the high score, and the high score attests to that fact. The high score is held by George Lutz from Brooklyn, New York. He played the game for 84 hours and 48 minutes on a single life in 2013, and he scored over 37 million points. That doesn't happen if the game is difficult. The game is easy. And I think the fact that I could get the high score on the machine on my first try kind of shows that as well. But the game being easy, I don't necessarily think is a detriment to the game. This is a game that I believe, with its cute little mascot, the cute little character, kind of lends itself towards being appealing to children. It's got some bright colors. It's got some good music, the ones that we were able to hear. And we have a character that kind of speaks nonsense. Of course, as a kid, I thought it was cursing, but it's just supposed to be nonsense. But if it is cursing, then it's even more appealing to kids, if I'm being honest, at least the kid that I was. The graphics, I think, are pretty good. It's a fairly simplistic game at the end of it, so there's not too much going on, but the characters are there, they're cute, and I think they work well in the environment that they're in. The sounds, the ones that we were able to hear, are good. They even have sounds during the demo, which is kind of odd for the time, but I would say a good thing. Once again, you're trying to draw people into the arcade cabinet in an ever-growing arcade, right? There's going to be a lot of competition in 1982 and 1983 in the arcade scene, so you want to draw people in, and I think Q-Bert does that pretty well. It could be a little bit better, but the gameplay, I would say, is simplistic, the way that Warren Davis wanted it to be. The game does not have a lot necessarily going on. There's a little bit of strategy involved, but not necessarily a ton of strategy. I, of course, could have improved my strategy as we got further along and there were more enemies on the screen and all that, but it's really just about moving your character in the right positions, and that's something that is easy to understand once you get over that initial learning curve. So, playing the game today, it's fun. It is a bit of a novelty. It's something that is different than the other games that we have been playing at the time. It's not about shooting and defeating your enemies. It's about, changing the color of these cubes and surviving while doing that. And that's something that is appealing because it does stand out as being different. Is it something that I necessarily want to spend a lot of time going back to? No, but I could see how people could. It is a game that lends itself to trying to play as long as possible on a single life because it is easy. So playing the game today, it is something that is enjoyable and is something that is different from the other games, and I think that is appealing. And that's my modern take on the game. When the game was released, Q-Bert proved to be successful. In the United States, Gottlieb would sell 25,000 units, becoming one of the best-selling cabinets of 1983. Critics at the time were also positive about the game, praising the colors, the sound, and the gameplay. As time has gone on, the critics have continued to be positive about the game. The game is seen as a classic of the era. The unique gameplay, vibrant colors and sound, and the game's addictiveness have helped keep the game popular over the years. The game also spawned several pieces of merchandise, including stuffed animals and board games. The popularity of the character helped make these a success, and would help the game reach a mainstream audience outside of the arcade. Although these products proved to be popular at first, the popularity of the merchandise faded quickly. Q-Bert would spawn clones, ports, sequels, and remakes. We will keep an eye on these as we continue. As for Gottlieb, the success of Q-Bert would help keep the company in the video game industry, and we will be hearing from Gottlieb again, although only briefly. Warren Davis would also continue working in the industry. We will hear from him again. Jeff Lee would also continue to work in the industry, and we will hear from him again as well. As for David Thiel, the creator of the game Sounds, although he would continue to work in the industry, nothing would achieve the same level of success as Q-Bert, and we will not be hearing from David Thiel again. That will do it for the story of Q-Bert for now. My name is ballerscuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when we take a closer look at linguistics.